in today's video I thought I'd talk a little bit about my childhood and why I love dolls so much. I do get a lot of questions and messages asking me, do you love dolls? Why do you love dolls? Do you collect dolls? Well, I have to admit I am an avid collector and have been since the age of 8. I absolutely love all types of dolls, all genres, all ages of dolls. There isn't really a doll on the market from the past or the present that I'm not passionate about. Of course, we have our favourites, that's only natural. When I was a very young child, my mother, who is very passionate about dolls too, did her best to encourage me to play with baby dolls, antique dolls, all types of dolls. And every Christmas and birthday, I would be bought the most beautiful dolls, some of them from the Zaf Creations range, some of the early Spanish Medusa dolls. I don't know if any of you remember those, comment below if you do. And she tried her best to sort of encourage me to play with the dolls, but to be honest, I wasn't ever really that interested at a very young age. I had every Silver Cross pram going, everything on the market, and I don't think my hands ever even graced the handle. So I knew that really my mother's passion that she was influencing onto me, it just wasn't striking that chord until I was introduced into going into the beautiful antique doll shows with my parents and my younger brother from the age of about 7. We travelled all over the country on many Sundays visiting these antique doll shows, and I can remember the impression that it left on me. And one particular Sunday we travelled down to London on the train. We got up so early, the trains weren't that regular in my younger day, and we entered this magical environment. There was dealers from all over the world, and it was at the Kensington Town Hall. It was called the Kensington London Doll and Teddy Fair. Oh my goodness, when I entered the show, it was so busy with so many people from all over the world. I couldn't really believe what I was looking at. Dolls on the stands worth literally tens of thousands of pounds. And as a 7-year-old child walking in to this, the buzz and the vibe of all these genuine serious collectors, money exchanging hands like you've never seen, I didn't know what I was entering into. It was just so mind-blowing. We frequented the shows quite regularly, but obviously we were still quite in the early days of dealing heavily in the antique dolls, because my parents initially were antique dealers, so working through porcelain and paintings and furniture, and then eventually getting into selling the antique dolls. So this is still the late 70s we're talking about. And the passion of the dolls really grew for my mum, and she wanted to sell more and more antique dolls. But when dolls in the late 70s were £300–400 starting price, it was quite daunting, because some of the porcelain we were selling was probably less than £100. And she was like, well, it's not really a subject that I know that well. So of course it was a whole new world for us, and being taken to the shows, the influences that I experienced just made me want to be a collector more than actually playing with the dolls. It was just the best experience really, and I'll always thank her for taking me along to the doll shows. And looking at all these dolls, I didn't really have obviously the money to purchase them. I was too young, and I didn't even get pocket money. My mother always believed that you had to earn money and work for it and do chores or little challenges, and then you would be rewarded with just a very small amount of money. So I knew that the thoughts of having one of these dolls was nearly impossible. Anyway, to cut a long story short, after frequenting these shows for a couple of years, a lady appeared with a beautiful stall making actual modern porcelain dolls among all these amazing antique dolls. This lady, who was called Terry, very lovely lady, made these amazing creations, and I fell in love with this doll on her stall. It was a baby doll, and it was £95. And I remember my mother sort of slightly turning her nose up, wondering why I wanted to spend £95 on a modern artist doll. when we were in an antique doll show, and she was like, well, don't you want to buy an antique doll? It's a better investment. And don't you want to save a little bit more money up, you know, and get something, an antique doll or a vintage doll? And I was like, oh Mum, I so love this doll, I'll do anything to get it. And she's like, well, you haven't got £95, so it's not really going to happen. Anyway, after bending her arm and nagging her life out probably for the whole duration of the show, she relented. And she said she would lend me the money, but she wouldn't buy me the doll, and I had to pay her back. Well, I knew that this was going to be a long time paying £95 back, when I think I only had about £8 to spend at the show. But anyway, I was so overjoyed, and I bought the doll off the lady, and I've still got her today. Her name is Sugar Britches, and she's a porcelain headed doll with porcelain hands, and she's got the soft feel and the beanie body, and I absolutely just so fell in love with her. She was sort of the first introduction to baby dolls, really, because the other dolls I'd admired were all like the girl dolls sort of with the longer hair, the slightly older looking dolls that I really love. But I fell in love with this one, and I've still got her today. So a lot of you will probably look at her and think, oh my goodness, why did you love her, or what did you see in her? But bearing in mind, it's nearly 40 years ago. So this doll cost £95 40 years ago. And I know when we compare it to the reborn dolls today, it looks like a doll. It doesn't look like a baby in that sense. It's not real. The skin obviously is still hand painted and fired in the kiln, but you could never get the detail on the porcelain dolls that you can on the reborn babies. And this doll is really quite special to me, because this was the start of, I suppose, what I've become, what I've developed, and the business that I run today. Taking this baby home, I don't think I even had it in a bag. I just carried it for the whole show. I sat it on my knee all the way home. I was absolutely captured by this baby. At 14, I went to a doll making course because I decided I wanted to make the porcelain dolls myself. I was so inspired by Terry, the lady that had made this doll. And of course, what happened was, every show we went to and Terry was there, we became so fond of her and so fond of the dolls that she made that my mother actually started to stock them in her antique doll and antique shop, the first modern art pieces that we actually stocked. So Terry sort of then made dolls for us to sell, wonderful creations. And of course, 40 years ago, this did look quite real. So at 14, like I say, I went on to make the dolls myself. Absolutely love. I went I think it was every Wednesday night to a doll making class for an hour, and that gave me the chance to make antique reproduction dolls of the ones that I'd witnessed and been encouraged to look at and even handle in these doll shows, knowing that I could probably never afford like a Bruges doll, which at the time was about £35,000. I was like, well, if I can never own the original, then at least I can make one and copy it. And then I got involved in entering doll competitions. So my teacher, who was Elizabeth Wilson, who was based in York, she entered competitions all around the world, and she was very clever. She won a lot of very famous doll competitions in the world. And then I was encouraged to also enter the competitions. It was just fabulous. I actually won a lot of firsts and a lot of amazing trophies and certificates, and we really got competitive in the making of them and making them look as authentic as possible to the originals. So that's really how I got into the doll making. But I think if I hadn't bought Sugar Britches, then maybe I'd never got into making dolls, really. And of course, from the porcelain dolls, it's led into what we have created today. So, you know, I am the key person really in developing the collections and working on all the new ideas and putting together the collections each year, which gives us what we have today, which is the wonderful reborn dolls that we sell here at Mary Shortle's. So I just thought you might like to hear about a little bit of information about my younger life and really how I got into the dolls. And I'll always thank thank my mother so much for introducing me to the most amazing lifestyle, hobby, and a community. We're a community of people. I think it is an addiction. I think I will always collect dolls. I have some beautiful, amazing dolls in my collection today that I'll probably talk about one day and show you some of them. Some lovely rare pieces that I've been fortunate enough to acquire. Some have been bought as gifts from my parents for special occasions. I just can't thank them enough really for introducing me to this amazing world that we live in. We live and breathe dolls 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and we just can't get enough of it. So I hope you enjoy your dolls as much as I do, and I hope you enjoy watching this video, and I hope also it's inspiration to people who may be worried about collecting or worried what other people think. I've never ever been worried what other people think. I am a doll collector, I'm a proud doll collector, and I absolutely love what I do. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you will tell all your friends to subscribe to our amazing channel, and don't forget to click on the notification bell to get information on all our latest videos coming up, and also join our Facebook page. We've got some amazing offers on there coming up to the busy period. And most of all, we can't wait to see you in store here. So come along and have a cuddle of all our beautiful dolls at our Mary Shortle shops in Leeds and York. Thank you for watching.